to the Grey Man Podcast. This retired counter-terrorism agent, lifelong martial artist, and personal defense expert joins his best friend, producer Jim, to talk about personal defense and world events. This is The Grey Man, Mike Sine.
Hey everybody, welcome back finally to season 3, episode 1. So this one's an easy one for me to remember.
You got Which finger are you holding up? That's the only thing we have to decide.
Number 1.
Yeah, which is going to specifically dive into our subject for the day. There are many middle fingers. That's tough to say.
Yeah, many middle fingers. Yeah, it is. You're right.
Yes, so much happening. Well, first off, the reason we took a break was things happening in life, and I think we could talk about that a little bit. And the reason we're back when we're back is because a couple weeks ago, Afghanistan went to hell, and we need to address that. That's what we're here for. Other things happening. So, in my life, I've changed careers again, which 3 years ago, if somebody would have told me I've had this many jobs in 3 years, I would have said they were nuts. I'm of the mindset that you get a career and you stick with it. And I did that for a long time, and I switched, and I'm doing something that I love with very little stress with one coworker that he and I get along very well. So sometimes paths aren't what you expect them to be, but they turn out all right. We've had some health issues come up in the family. I appreciate prayers for my daughter. She's an avid listener to the show. Hi, Steph, and she's dealing with a cancer issue right now as a mom. And Mike, I know this hits you at home too, because my son-in-law is deployed right now. So Steph is raising 3 kids, going to school full time, and now there's this, and it's something that should be easily treatable. She has high spirits, and we're making it through it. So just some things that are happening. You take some good, you take some bad. There you have it. The facts of life.
Facts of life. Yeah. Well, she's such a strong person too, man.
She's stronger than she should. As a dad and a papa now, Papa Jim. She's stronger than she should have to be at this point in her life, and thank God that she is. And I'm blessed every time that we get together and when we talk. So we'll get through it. Whatever happens from here, of course, we always do. That's what human beings do. So the more we can do that together, I think the better off we are. And so that's where things are here. I need to stain my deck before North Dakota winter hits, and that is life. That's it. That's all I've got at this point. So
we're waiting until next year to stain our deck. We've got a new fence up, and we've got to sand our deck, and we're like, we're just gonna hire somebody to do all of it. We're not even bothering this year. Who cares? It should be snowing like 4 weeks. Why bother?
Yeah, we are old men. That's what gets us excited now.
Yeah, mowing the lawn and
Oh, I need to get to that too. Yeah, that's speaking of which, I'll be right back. Just small yard.
Yeah, it really. It's been a weird couple months. We've zigged and zagged, and I've done the exact same thing. And I'm retired now, and which is weird feeling. But I'm busy all the time. So got that going for me. Headed out to Reno in October. It'll be the first chance we've gotten to travel for jiu-jitsu in a long time. My organization, Straight Blast Gym, SBG, is having their fall camp out in Reno, Nevada, where my coach is at. So Rochelle is going out there with me, which is awesome because I think the listeners know this. Rochelle got back into jiu-jitsu about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, we've touched on it a bit. Yeah, how's she doing?
Good, really good. She went out to the all-women's camp. They called it base camp in Idaho 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago.
That sounds about right. Yeah, 2
or 3 months ago, and had a fantastic time. It was all SPG women with our organization's black belts teaching. Had a great time out there. Really fired her up to come back. We've got an all women's class on the schedule at Spectrum. That's
nice,
quite popular. Yep.
Wow. So who's training that? Oh, you're not a woman.
Yeah, I know, but I am the head instructor. So.
So are you getting better at it then, or
until we get a female jiu-jitsu practitioner that's ready to be a coach, it's going to be me. But all of the gals in the class that attended, they trust me, and that's important. So we chose, not that they don't trust the other coaches. We have fantastic coaches at Spectrum, but we needed to lead from the front. And in the class, we talk about one, issues that come up as a female in jiu-jitsu, rolling with men, or issues with other females, and how to control a bigger, stronger opponent. And I'm not gonna lie, I give them secrets that I don't give the bigger guys.
Sure.
In other classes, and I want it to be that way. I want them to feel empowered, and we want it to be a safe place where they can feel empowered to come in and explore jiu-jitsu without any retribution. And by retribution, I mean being smashed by a big dude.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? Especially just coming into it, that has to make a huge difference. Just the idea. I mean, I've wrestled against Rochelle and other females, and it's awkward because, I mean, your bits are really close in some cases. And so just having a little bit of background, I think, would be helpful for both of all of the genders at this point.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
we let them,
sense.
We tell them you can come in. It's a drop in. If all you want to do is the Wednesday night class, it's a drop in fee. We don't charge you monthly. It'll take longer and it'll be a little more frustrating, but then you get used to jiu-jitsu. And then if that's where you started, eventually you'll become comfortable enough. You'll go to our BJJ fundamentals. But most of the gals in the class, actually all of them, are ones that come from the BJJ fundamentals class. And it's just an extra hour of training for them where they just get to ask all of the questions that are on their heart or their brain without their other male classmates there.
Yeah. Yeah. That
and
makes
I'll
sense.
answer them honestly. I have been doing it as long as a lot of other people I know, but I've been in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 17 years. And even in karate, there's some issues that come up with men and women training. And I've been doing full contact karate for 37 years. So, so it's been a really fantastic addition.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And the school, Spectrum is keeping you busy.
Oh, yeah.
These days. And that kind of leads into another major change. Last time we talked on the show, you were smack dab in the middle of a bunch of edumacations.
Yep.
You were taking courses and things. Yeah.
Yeah, we put a pause on that.
Yeah.
One of the things we haven't talked about yet, and that's because he had left the last class that we last show we had. Hunter took a pretty significant injury at boot camp to his L5S1. He actually ruptured the disc in between the L5S1, and they kept him in the medical recovery platoon trying to fix it. But it was an injury that just unfortunately was incompatible with Marine Corps training. And he was medically discharged. He fought like hell to try and get better and to stay in the fight. And he comes from that line, and it was a tough decision to come home, and he's handled it really, really, really well. Yeah. But when he was coming home, we didn't know whether he was going to need surgery. We knew he was going to need physical therapy. He had complete numbness in his left leg all the way down to his foot, and partial numbness in his right leg. He wasn't able to walk really at all, even with crutches. It was a really bad injury. And so through physical therapy, he's healed really, really well. He's doing great. He's a full-time student right now at MSU. But we put a pause on my education as a paramedic because we just needed to ensure that we could put him first.
Yeah, family.
Coming home,
right?
Family first always.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. We'll see.
And in the meantime, I mean, you still have the knowledge. You still talk the talk. You're still walking the walk. You're keeping up part-time with it.
Yep, I am keeping up part-time with it, continuing my education with it, volunteering.
And it does speak to the gray man, right? We've talked a lot about that in the last 12 months, 9 months even, that paths change, careers change, and we're still gray men. We're still focused on the things that the show is about and that our lives are about. We also had last weekend, actually, Mike and I were in Medora, North Dakota.
Yeah, we were. My first time ever in Medora.
Yeah, that was a surprise to me. You'd probably told me over the years, and every time you told me, I probably filed it away in my brain somewhere that, wow, we should do that sometime. So this was the year for it. With our schedules the way we were. Honestly, we didn't know if we were going to even get a ride in this year. So I'm fortunate that we did. We took a couple days, say hi to the folks in Dickinson, North Dakota, the Queen City of the West, apparently. We didn't see any transvestites that we know of. I mean, maybe they're that good.
Maybe they were.
Yeah.
Oh, well, our bartender didn't even know why it was called the Queen City.
No, we had to look it up, and there's a lot. Look it up yourself. We're not going to get into it on this show.
Yeah.
That's a different show entirely. When we'll have a Queen City episode someday, maybe. But
shout out to the bartender that put up with us at the hotel where we were staying. It was the Theodore Roosevelt Inn or whatever it was.
Yeah. Roosevelt something. It's by the Elks anyway.
She put up with a lot of shenanigans.
Yeah.
Very patient. Had some fun. Patient, had some fun laughing with us. So it was a good time,
which is appreciated. Rode around
Beautiful
the south
ride.
unit. Yeah, south unit of Theodore Roosevelt National Park. Put up with tourists enough to walk a few blocks in Medora, and then we got the hell out because people.
Because people.
Yeah, but yeah, fantastic all around. The excitement. So last year we were in South Dakota, and we rode through a buffalo herd. This year, the excitement. Go ahead and let our listeners know what we survived this time around.
So,
walking along, minding our own business.
We got off our bikes and we were walking up this scenic walkway for this overlook. Great view down the river. I think Jim got a picture of a couple of aliens off in the distance. I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
We're fairly certain they were aliens down by the river.
100%.
But as we're walking back, I think I was walking first.
No, I was ahead of you.
That's what it was. Yeah. And you walked first, and I went, "Hey, you just passed a rattlesnake."
Yeah. And then the rattlesnake said,
yeah. And we're like, "Oh, shib." So we actually walked literally within a foot and a half.
Oh, easily. Thing. Yeah. And it coiled. It was very ready to do whatever it was wanting to do.
So we stayed a little ahead of the path, and we were warning people. And there was this old couple coming down.
Kills me.
And we're like, "Hey, there's a rattlesnake. It's coiled. It's right here. It looks like it's ready to strike. You guys may want to take a different route." And the old man's response was,
"That's fine. That's why we brought these sticks."
Yeah, he apparently was just going to poke it to death.
Walking sticks, like these really thin, like $1.25 quarterstaffs from Daffy Duck days. And his wife didn't seem too thrilled about it, but they survived.
They walked by it.
Yeah, coming the other way, there was a family with a tween-age girl, I'd say.
Yeah, I would say between like 11 and 13.
Yeah. And their response was, "Oh, cool, neat, let's go see it." So Mike and I have different responses to rattlers than others, because my response to Mike was, "Hey, you're packing, right?" And Mike's response was, "That's not really legal in state parks." So
but I would do it.
Discharge. Yeah, exactly. We weren't in mortal danger. Just cleaning out our undershorts danger, I think, was probably the worst that it was. But every year it seems we have something. Then we were riding along a little later, and there was a buffalo walking in the other lane coming towards us.
Look at his chops staring at us.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I wasn't concerned until he was licking his chops, and I thought, well, let's go a little faster because I know they're fast. But
and between those two, the rattlesnake and the buffalo, we hit a Theodore Roosevelt National Park traffic jam.
Oh yes,
a herd of wild horses.
Yes, horses were stopping the trafficking.
Yes.
Well, horses and people. Some people could have continued.
People stopped the traffic because they apparently had never seen horses before.
Mike and I, we pulled up, stopped, and just looked at each other like that. You see that those are horses, right? That it's horses, people. But what do you do?
Yeah.
Have patience. And I mean, you don't go to a ride like that to go fast anyway. So we were patient.
We enjoyed the ride. Beautiful park, you guys. If you've never been to Theodore Roosevelt, it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I think definitely enjoyed it more on my bike than I would have in a vehicle.
For sure.
It was really an awesome experience.
Stopped a couple times and walked a couple of the little trails. And there are larger and longer walking trails, including the 150-mile Matahay Trail. That they're actually, if there are any folks out there that are really into hiking, that would be number one, do that. And number two, they're having a tough time getting funding to maintain it. I heard from someone that ran the trail once that they're trying to get private funds to keep that trail up. It's not my bag, but hey, if it's something you're interested in, always a good thing to get into. So that's life. That's where we're at life-wise. I mean, there's a lot of other nuances, other things that are happening, but let's talk about the gray man scale. This is something we brought up last season, and I'd kind of like to continue it. I know we left right around 7.5. We've been kind of hovering around that, and obviously some things to talk about today. Specifically, do you see a lot of change in where the number is at overall for our society?
for us as a country, I don't really see a change. I mean, you could talk about regional instability, and we could go by region in the world, and the number would definitely go up or down.
Yeah.
But in the U.S., I would still say we're at about a 7.5. There's a lot of unhappy people in the U.S. There's a lot of uncertainty economically. The person that was elected, who was supposed to be our savior, his approval rating is now like at 49%. The people who were so vehemently with him when they elected him and they were so boisterous are awful fucking quiet right now.
Well, there's a lot of that, and I, my stance on stuff like that. It happens every year, every time there's an election. They've got to let you down at some point, and there's a lot to be embarrassed about on a lot of fronts when it comes to.
But own it. That's my thing, right? If of course, I'm that guy. If I vote for somebody, and they do something, I'm like, oh well, shit, that was stupid. I shouldn't have voted for him. I own that as an American citizen. Yep, I voted for that guy, and that was a terrible fucking decision. But you don't hear that from anybody. Yeah, anybody that supports him. Yeah, that's what kills me.
We ended last season by talking about how difficult it is to have a debate or just a conversation because of that division and the way that a lot of folks approach pretty much any subject these days. It's almost difficult to just have a conversation in public with anyone other than weather. And even that's true.
I just put up maybe 2 weeks ago, we were talking about, because the Delta variant's a big one. There's actually a couple of different variants of COVID out there right now.
Yeah, the
Mu COVID's the new one. Yeah. Delta was that one for a while when I was doing my ER shifts. Last ER shift that I did, we had 7 people come in with respiratory issues. All of them tested positive for COVID. 5 of them were fully vaccinated, but all of the positives were for the Delta variant.
Yeah.
And so we knew the Delta variant was in, and this was a month ago, maybe, because you and I talked about it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And we knew that it was in North Dakota. It's going to be a problem, and of course, it is growing everywhere, even in this state. But I put up a post about health. I put up the stats for heart disease that mimic a pandemic, and basically what I said was, if we're going to talk about pandemics, then let's talk about all pandemics, because the numbers for heart disease qualify as a pandemic because 1, the spread of it, and 2, it's in multiple countries.
Right.
Which qualifies as a pandemic, right?
So it doesn't have to be, excuse me, boy, we're both just getting used to talking again here, apparently. It doesn't have to be a virus or a
pandemic can be any type of thing that affects you physiologically. It can be a disease.
Opioid.
Heart disease. The opioid pandemic. Yes.
All right. I've got questions about that, but I don't have them formed yet. So we can talk about that another time. So tell me about the heart disease.
I put that up there, and the numbers, and I used, of course, because people always like to quote the CDC numbers when it comes to COVID-19, right? So I put the CDC's link up with their numbers, and that's the ones that I used. And it's, 650-some-thousand people a year dying. I mean, that is a massive amount of people. And and basically what I said is, if you're going to come and you're going to yell at me about masks and vaccine mandates and all of that, the next time I see you shoving a McDonald's double cheeseburger in your mouth, I'm walking up and I'm slapping it out of your fucking hand.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Because you don't get to lecture me about health when you take no responsibility for your own. And this is coming from a guy who, 1, wears a mask where it's required, and 2, is vaccinated.
Yeah, that's new.
I'm not, we said this the whole last season, I'm not an anti-vax guy. It would be hypocritical of me to stand here and be anti-vax because I have 3 volumes of shot records from the military. I've had the anthrax vaccine series 3 times.
You were paid to do that and required to do that because you were being paid for it. Yeah. But this one, you did get the. Did you get the one shot or?
I got the one shot, Johnson & Johnson. Yeah. It was kind of like high school prom. one and done.
It was over that quick. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Yep. And I did
then you
have
felt
some
shitty
reaction.
for the next day or so.
Dude, yeah, it was bad for the next day. But then I woke up, a day later, right as rain. It was awesome.
So did you get a lot of pushback on that heart disease pandemic
thing? I got so much pushback on that. I had one really good discussion on it, and then about a dozen how dare yous. And it was shared several times, which I appreciate. I think it was shared like 15, 16 times.
All right.
And then one person who put it up, his friends are on the far left side, and they shamed him so bad. Literally, I watched the comments that he deleted it. I'm not that guy. Yeah. You want to come at me, I'll put it up even more because fuck you. Huh. But he chose to take it down.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was, well, it's not communicable. It's not this, it's not that. It's different. It's apples and oranges. You're right. One of them you have complete fucking control over. Mm-hmm. The number one killer in the U.S. is the number one cause of the number one killer in the U.S. is your hand-to-mouth habit. Mm-hmm. So heart disease is a comorbidity factor in COVID, along with diabetes and obesity, all of which, and type 2 diabetes, which we can control with our hand-to-mouth habit, and obesity, which you can control with your hand-to-mouth habit. And people will say, well, I got thyroid problems and I'm big boned. And all of that really is bullshit because there's a very small percentage of the population that has to deal with that.
Yeah.
And then I get articles like, well, this person was super healthy and a marathon runner and they got COVID and they died. So it's different than everybody else. And I said, well, that's cool because I can send you a bunch of links about people who were super healthy and got the vaccine and had an allergic reaction and died. You don't get to make policy or base your argument on outliers. Let's base it on, you don't get to do that, right?
Well, but that's the tendency of our society, though, is
100%. And boy, they came at me with both barrels on that one, and I'm just going to stand my ground on it. If we're going to talk about one, let's talk about the other. And I'm telling you right now, every single person I saw come into the ER that was dealing with complications, serious complications, that we shot them up to the ICU with COVID, had at least two of the comorbidity factors. Yeah. They were diabetic, morbidly obese, they were over 80, all of those things.
Yeah. I've been curious about asthma. Has that been a thing that's been specifically connected to it, or is that like a...
I haven't really
because
heard.
It seems like so much of it is breathing related, but for me, I pay special attention to that. I grew up with not real severe asthma, but enough to know what it feels like not to be able to breathe in moments and periods of time. And that sucks. I mean, it's scary when you can't breathe. So I feel for the folks that have had some long-term effects from COVID that didn't have issues with breathing before.
My issue with all of this was simply this. And people get so rabid and they foam at the mouth and it's so polarized. And I said this too, once an issue has become politicized, no amount of rational information will ever matter anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But my issue was this. You have the opportunity to lessen the chance of more fierce complications from COVID-19. Not once did I say it wasn't real. Not once did I say it wouldn't kill you. And not once did I say anything anti-vaccine in that entire discussion.
Yeah.
Yet people came at me like I was.
Because you're on the wrong side, right?
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. If I say this, then I must be anti-mask or anti-vaccine, which both of them are not true, which blows my mind. Stop being fucking idiots and read the whole thing. That's my message to people.
Yeah, and just the thing, not read into it. And I think there's a lot of that
just read the thing.
Yeah.
And let's address that thing.
Yeah.
It's okay to address that thing. Yeah. It's okay to address obesity. Over 50% of Americans are obese. Over 50%. And that's not Mike Science, that's the CDC.
Yeah.
Why would you not want to address that if that's a thing that you personally, and I get there's psychology and there's self-image and there's all of that stuff that goes into it because that's what I dealt with when I was 40 pounds heavier than I am right now, which would put me in the obese category. I get that all that stuff exists, but you control that. You get to control that. Why would you not attack that and deal with that? If you have a adult onset diabetes, type 2 diabetes, we used to call it adult onset diabetes. We can't call that anymore because we have it in type 2 diabetes in children now because they're fat, because they're obese, because we feed them shit all the time and they're overweight. They're getting type 2 diabetes. So we've just changed it to type 2 diabetes instead of adult onset.
Yeah. And
Why
I wish
would you not try to look at it that way holistically and attack that? That's a couple less things that you have to worry about. If you're really young, yes, you are at risk, but you're also at risk if you get pneumonia or actual H1N1. If you're 80 and you get pneumonia, there's a chance you're going to die. There's also a chance you're going to die if you get H1N1.
I'd like to wave, excuse me, a magic wand and just not fix it, but help humanity understand how we can fix the overweight and the other, like that's, so
you have the ability to do it.
And like you said, though, it's a psychological.
But the first thing you do is you control your portion size.
Yeah. Yes.
I get that you're going to have self-image issues. Yes. Trust me, I dealt with it my whole life. And my whole life. I know a lot of people struggle with that. But the first thing you can do to help that is control your portion sizes.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, healthy food is expensive. Yes, if you're going to buy like organic Chinese lettuce and all that bullshit, it gets super expensive. But frozen vegetables are not expensive. And we eat those in my house. Flash frozen vegetables, that's what we eat. I don't always buy fresh fruit and vegetables. Sometimes it has to be frozen because of budgets. And yes, prepping your food takes a little more time, but you can do it. And you can prep it for the week. I get that we're busy, but everybody, regardless of socioeconomic status, has the ability to take it into their own hands. Everybody. It's just easier to buy the boxed meal and not prep thing from scratch. It's easier to do that. That's my issue.
Yeah. And
I said, it's free. I said, getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning is free. It's not fun, but it's free.
Yeah.
Sweating while walking on the road is free. You don't need weights in a gym or any of that stuff. Push-ups are free. Air squats are free. Jumping jacks are free. Jogging is free. And if you have a physical disability that doesn't allow you to do any of those things, there are numerous modifications for it. Fuck, there are apps you can download on your smartphone that will build you an exercise regime for all of your issues. You don't even need a personal trainer or a gym. People are just lazy and they want to take a pill and they want it fixed right now. We see it in the ER. The entitlement, the people that come in will just fix me. Medicine's not that easy. That's not how it works. There's this whole thing that we have to do to weed it down to what's actually wrong with you, because it could be one of a dozen things.
So Gray Man fans, stick around. We will have more about weight loss. We're gonna. I feel like let's dive into that a little bit more. Maybe we could get some folks in. Put a pin in it.
In that, and then get some people in and talk about it.
Yeah, let's do that. I'd like to dig into that more. And this is formal as we get. Invitation to engage with us on Facebook. We've got the page there. That's the place to do it. Let us know. What are your thoughts on that? What do you think about no excuses, that approach? Because I've got concerns with it. I agree with it, and I also recognize that there's more to it than a simple quick conversation could really fix. Now I know where Mike's coming from. We've had this conversation for almost 25 years now, at some level or another.
And I've cycled up and down with it. It's not as if I'm talking. I wasn't born in good physical condition, like in shape.
Yeah.
I mean, my body was healthier when I was born than it is right now. I mean, my spine's, there's a lot going on with me.
Yeah. Well,
So just know that so here's my caveat with this to our listeners. I want you to engage, but know that if you're going to engage, that you I would not recommend coming at it from the angle of, well, you don't understand my situation.
And that's where we differ, because I know that every situation is different, and I'm not saying that it's valid, but I also know that it's different. And
to me, that's an excuse.
When we talk about
this, 100% an excuse.
Yes, and the psychological side of it needs to be dealt with. If it's an excuse, just taking that excuse away doesn't fix the core issue. Taking the portions lower, yes, absolutely. That can help the physical issue, but there's still something else going on that I believe will manifest itself somewhere else then. Because you can take meth and lose a hell of a lot of weight.
You can.
That's a choice too. So there's more to losing weight and getting a healthier body. Well, meth isn't going to get you healthier, I guess, but it'll probably get you out of the diabetes issue.
Right.
So, I mean, I feel like there's more to get into with that. So let's do that. And let's go back to a 7.5 approximately for our gray man scale.
Yep.
And we haven't, we're a ways into the show already. We haven't even talked about the thing that got us back to the show.
Well, what's crazy? Well, and I was using that first initial post to talk about me. Then Afghanistan happened. I put that up.
Right.
I posted up, and then the shit show that is Afghanistan happened, and I got hit up quite a bit from people about Mike, what's your opinion? And I put up something, and a shout out to Bruce Pagano and Folding Chair Theology. I really do appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Great podcast, by the way, if you don't listen to it. Really down to earth. Andy drinks Woodford Reserve, so he's okay in my book. While they talk about folding chair theology and life in general. Mm-hmm. So he actually read one of my posts, my initial post on it. He read it verbatim on the show because my first one was very raw, and it just, having been a guy who spent a lot of time in Afghanistan. I did 4 tours in Iraq and 3 in Afghanistan. And most of my time was spent working with the indigenous population, the Afghans, all over the country, north, south, and west, and getting to know them. And there's a non-disclosure agreement. So in a lot of different capacities, I got a chance to work with them.
Is there a non-disclosure agreement at this point?
There is for that.
Okay.
There 100% is for that. Yeah.
I had to ask.
Not for my old, not for they.
We'll come back around to that one in a future episode.
But yeah, there 100% is for a lot of that stuff. But I got a chance to work with them in a lot of capacities, and meet a lot of wonderful people. And I actually have a large. I have affection for the Afghan people. As a whole, but my first post was very raw and kind of emotional about it because people were losing their shit about the fall of Afghanistan and how Joe Biden this and Joe Biden that. And, I cannot believe Joe Biden withdrew our troops and it's all his fault. And so it was very raw. And Bruce read that on his podcast, which I appreciated because really, a lot of times when I post stuff on social media, it's just for me. I need to puke it out. Sometimes we have conversations about it. Sometimes we don't. Bruce and I are not always on the same side of the aisle when it comes to these issues. And that's what impressed me most about him reading it is that he understood where I was coming from. And we served a long time ago. And I know he knows my heart, where I was coming from with that. But then I took some time. I kept getting more questions and more messages, and I put up, hey you guys. Actually it was. I put up a screenshot of the song "A Little Bit Off" by Five Finger Death Punch because I was lifting. I was doing some Olympic lifting that morning, and that song came on, and it hit me. I was definitely feeling off that day.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I was getting inundated by questions, which I appreciate. I want people. I want to be in. But I needed some time to think about it. And so I said, hey, you guys, just give me a couple of days to chew on this one. I need some time to really digest this and watch it happen and really, really get into it. And then I'll be back. And we're for sure going to talk about it on the Gray Man podcast. And thankfully, and I want to say thank you to all of people that follow me on social media and that follow the Gray Man podcast, you were all very respectful about that. I did not get a single message after that. I got a couple, hey, if you need to talk, give me a shout. If there's anything I can do for you, give me a shout, that kind of stuff, which I do appreciate as well. We call it a buddy check, just people checking in, making sure I was okay. And I just needed some time to digest it, because at first I was okay with it. And I remember telling Michelle when it first kicked off, we knew this was coming. Fuck it. Let that country burn. And that was a very raw, visceral, emotional response. There's a lot that goes into that from years of being in that country,
right?
Good and bad. But then my second post was more on the mark for me. I think it definitely was more of what I was feeling and how I looked at it. So, and that got a lot of engagement, 7 shares, lots and lots of engagement, which I appreciated. But
so can you give our listeners, because I'm assuming for both of those posts, we can obviously make sure that that's on the Gray Man page. People can find your page from that, obviously. And can you give us kind of a synopsis of that? Where did you land?
I could read it verbatim.
Please.
If you want
I was hoping you would, but I didn't want to put you on the spot if you didn't feel like
no,
it was.
It's okay. No, I'll read it verbatim. It's been up there for a while. I think I did share this one on the Gray Man page. So anybody who wants to go read it, there are some pictures posted on it as well. But so this is what I said. I said, anyone who has ever served there, being Afghanistan, knew it was never ending the way the long-term strategy said it would. It was never going to last, not one day past leaving. And this is a true story, and I'll never forget this incident. I once had an Afghan Army colonel tell me, the day the Americans leave, we'll leave the next day. I'm Shinwari, not Afghan. I need to protect my tribe. I remember telling my wife when the withdrawal first kicked off, we knew this was coming, let it burn. I wasn't surprised by it by a bit. Truly, I was not. We have been leaving that country slowly over a decade. And I'm going to pause here real quick.
Yeah.
For those of you who think that Joe Biden made the decision to leave the country, you're a fucking idiot. We've been doing it over a decade. This has been 3 separate presidents. This has been happening. Anyway.
So there's that.
But I said, but honestly, I'm struggling, and I'm still struggling to be real with you guys. I'm still struggling with it. But honestly, I'm struggling like many of my friends who've spilt blood there. Not with leaving. It was time we did. It's how we're leaving. It's the haphazard disregard for the American and allied lives. It's the administration's complete lack of accountability over everything that's happening under their watch. It's the lives we left behind. It's the struggle that seems to be for nothing now, even though deep down in my soul, I know it wasn't. And I have some pictures. So if you go and look at the post, a lot of the rest of this will make sense because there are pictures posted from a lot of my tours. It's the little girl next to me on the steps of a small mud hut in northern Afghanistan. It's the family posing with me after we delivered aid boxes to their village. Or it's me chasing a goat in a village as kids lined up next to a wall and laughing. It's the exhaustion of the guy sitting on the floor of a tent lined with carpets. Or the guy in DCU staring at a camera after a long mission day. The guy faking a smile on top of a mountain. It's the gray-bearded 40-year-old on one of his last tours smiling at the camera. And it's the dress uniform getting hung in the closet for the last time with a lifetime of memories on its chest that very few will understand or even appreciate. It's also loss. It's confusion, pain, anger, and regret. It's all of them and sometimes none of them. It's wanting to be left alone, but literally yelling at the TV and news story even when no one's around, which I did. Honestly, I did. It's sitting at a stoplight and crying for no reason whatsoever in the middle of a Monday afternoon.
Yeah.
We are not the first generation to feel this. I'm sure we will unfortunately not be the last. I can't even begin to imagine how hard it was for my father to return from Vietnam without all of the resources I have at my disposal today. I feel let down. And I'll pause again and tell you that I still do feel let down.
Yeah.
I feel let down, not ashamed. No fucking way do I feel ashamed. I am proud of the service of those who stood to my left and right. I and my friends appreciate your thank you for your service comments. Honestly, we do. But we don't have an answer outside of anger and disappointment right now. We have the right to point fingers at any administration we goddamn want to include the current one. And I'll pause again and say this. That's another thing that pissed me off. People getting mad because I was pointing fingers at the Biden administration while I wasn't saying anything about the Trump or the Obama administration. But we'll get to that too.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I have the right to point fingers at any goddamn administration I want because I served there under all three of them.
Mm-hmm.
We're not asking you to understand. You cannot possibly do that. We are asking you to let us be angry, upset, hurt, confused, and emotional. And I ended it by saying this. I've gotten to the end of this, and I'm not even sure why I started it. Maybe just so that my brothers out there know that someone else gets it. Maybe to say I am mad, and you have to deal with it as a country because you sent us there for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's just so that you get to carry the guilt for once.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly how I was feeling in that moment, and that's still how I feel.
Yeah.
You don't get to rail, in my opinion, you don't get to rail about how fucked up the situation in Afghanistan was while continually voting for the people who sent us there for 20 years. That's the problem I have. We started withdrawing under Obama, and I was in that country under Obama when the withdrawal started happening. Then it sped up a little bit under Trump and then was paused for a moment, but then a date was set under Trump to withdraw, and then Biden continued to do that withdrawal. The problem with the current administration's withdrawal is not that we were gone for the country. I will tell you, we needed to be gone. Mm-hmm. Democracy was never going to work in that country the way we want it to work. Right. They are tribal at their core. There's no national Afghan pride like there is American pride, or even in Iraq where democracy is kind of standing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are people that believe they are Iraqi. They're not just Sunni or Shia or Kurd. They're Iraqi.
Yeah.
Right. You are hard pressed in Afghanistan to find anybody that believes they're Afghan. They're Shinwari, they're Pashto, they're Logman. They're
how many tribes are there?
Oh,
is it countable?
I could not begin to tell you.
I see. All right. So it's not as simple as breaking it into 3 countries.
No, it's not. No, yeah, not even close. Yeah. And so one of the things I want to do is I want to have my good buddy, I'm going to give a shout out to him, my good buddy Chris Green on the show, hopefully next week, who is legitimately an area expert on this. Mm-hmm. And I want to dive more into why it's not possible to have what Americans think. Yeah. Because the guy's got a master's degree in this. He wrote his thesis on the narco terrorism trade. He speaks Farsi, Pashto, Dari. I might get this wrong, but I think he speaks a little bit of Arabic too. And shout out to him. He just competed at the Worlds. He's in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well as a brown belt. He didn't end up where he wanted to, but brother, you're a fucking stud for getting out there and doing it anyway, and you ended up on the podium. So
yeah.
We wanna have him on so we can just kind of break that down. But
please. And what's funny to me, and funny queer, is you, the gray man, Mike Cyan, is saying that he wants to have an expert on. In my world, as limited as it is, you are that guy. So we're finding someone that has leveled up even beyond where we see Mike at, that we would love to have on the show. He's already
Chris
committed.
Has been embedded and lived with them.
Yeah, he's committed to be with us. We just need to work out scheduling. We'll get him on, if not next week, as soon as possible, because it's still obviously very fresh. The thing that's most personal to me through all of this, because if I didn't know you and anyone else that served, I really wouldn't even have this on my radar, because, well, fuck it, we were there for a while and now we're gone. It's just another one of those things. Mm-hmm. But what really brought it home to me was that feeling of the feeling I hear of what was my time there for. If if this is where we ended up. And I can't even feel that guilt that you're talking about because I don't understand it. I didn't live it, and I know others did, and I know it hurts. I understand hurt. I understand the pain that goes with that type of loss, that type of grief, that type of pain that we're unsettled, right? And having to deal with it, not at the level that you're feeling probably in this situation because it's so worldly, it's so grand, it's bigger than, right? Bigger than you, bigger than your service. And part of all that. So that really brought it home for me. And that's why I wanted to bring it to the show. We've talked about this many times. This is therapy for us. This is where Mike and I get together. In the last however many weeks since we've not been doing the show, I mean, doing the motorcycle run was probably the most time that we spent together. Other than that, we've been crossing paths. Like we're both going off in weird directions. So this is important to us, and it's important to me that Mike gets a voice and Mike can represent those that need that voice at this time. So if you're listening and you know somebody that's in that situation, if you're listening and you are in that situation, I always feel it's important to make sure that you're getting the poison out. Mike talks about keeping the crazy in the barn. Whatever your choice of words is, whatever your choice is, please do what you can to do that. We all have those demons that haunt us, and this seems like it's a bigger one than I realized when I sat down and talked to Mike face to face. There are day-to-day issues that pop up that just get more pronounced when this kind of stress is on. So I know, Mike, you've got a lot to say politically about this. You've got a lot to say about your service and all of that. And that's the voice that I wanted to bring to it is all of our friends and friends of friends and friends of friends of friends out there that need that extra attention right now. Maybe do a little bit more reaching out, please.
Please do. And I wanted to say that it's okay to be mad.
Yeah.
It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be angry. All of those things are justified. I think the biggest thing for me that made it so hard to deal with, because you and I have talked before, and I've said for a long time, we need to be done. You know, the country needs to stand on its own 2 feet. I understand strategic occupation. That's why we're still in Germany. That's why we're still in Japan. I mean, we still occupy places. Why we're in Okinawa. You know, we still occupy places from World War II. We don't occupy them anymore, but we have a military presence there.
Right.
We have a military presence in Iraq. By the way, a lot of Americans have forgotten. We still have a military presence in Iraq because it's strategic. It's the way we left Afghanistan. This administration literally just said, fuck it.
Yeah.
And just ran. The way you do it is the military is the first or the last to leave.
Yeah, thank you.
Civilians are always the first to leave. Yeah. They're always, we evacuate everybody first. We are the last to leave because that's our job. And we did the exact opposite. And right now, there are American citizens trapped in Afghanistan trying to get out. There are American citizens at the airport right now in Kabul that can't get flights authorized out because the fucking State Department will not make a phone call to the Taliban. Why in the earth are we dealing with those people to begin with? Because they're a terror organization.
That gives recognition then, right?
Yeah. So we should be saying, you know what, fuck you, the planes leave, or we just carpet bomb all of your locations. We legitimately have Americans still trapped in Afghanistan because there are private organizations like Plan B and the Pineapple Express, which great movie, by the way, for anybody. Yeah. There's an organization out there by former people in my old community that are running rat lines, getting Americans out of that country on their own dime, not recognized by the government.
Right.
By the way, but they're doing it because it's the right goddamn thing to do. And I don't know. We talked about that on the motorcycle ride. I actually got an offer. This is going to be public. It's going to be awesome when my wife hears it.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up because I wasn't sure if I could or not. So please.
I did get an offer to go and do some contract work. We like to call it unsanctioned contracting work in that country, helping getting Americans out, because I could recontact a lot of old assets, and my job there was a very specific job that would be useful in this. I got an offer to go do it for a couple of months, and I did reluctantly, and I will say this, reluctantly turn it down. But we do have Americans still trapped there. So it's not over. Anybody who thinks that the Biden administration got everybody out, you are out of your fucking mind, and you are living in a fairy tale world. We have American citizens trapped in an enemy country that has now instituted Sharia law. That hung somebody from a helicopter and flew them over Kabul. Like hung them, not just like suspended them, but hung them from them. The Biden administration handed over a list of Americans and Afghan individuals who were part of a network in Afghanistan that helped us do our job. The administration said it was so that the Taliban forces that they allowed to do security outside the airport, which blows my fucking mind that we'd trust them, would know who to let through the gates. What they legitimately did was hand a kill list.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you know what the Taliban did with that list? They went they've been doing it. They've been going door to door looking for these people. That's why we have organizations like Plan B and the Pineapple Express and several others that I will not.
I didn't realize Plan B was one. That's funny.
Both of them have gone public. That's the only reason I'm using their name. We have other organizations, non-sanctioned contract organizations over there doing this. That's why they're there, because the Taliban are now going door to door with that fucking list that this administration gave them. If there's one American in that country that the Taliban will not let out, we should cry havoc and unleash the dogs of war.
And the only reason we're not doing that is what? Like, why aren't we just like, fuck it, blow them up?
That's a really good question.
So
that's a fantastic fucking question.
We don't have that answer today. This would be one that we can talk over with Chris, right? Like that'd be a good discussion.
I would love to discuss this with Chris.
That one may end up.
I don't have this answer because know my default setting is always.
Well, obviously, you just blow them
up. Cry
up.
havoc and let's go.
And I mean, I think in terms of victims, right? Like the innocents that don't need to get blown up. But I
would agree with you.
But we can be pretty targeted at these.
And we're so good at strategic, precise
targeting
operations.
Are we?
Dude.
We can
we're really fucking good at it.
We can be good at it. And the
and when
I hate playing this game, but
when we're not, it's because we choose not to be. There's a reason we choose not to be. So if you're talking all out battle, there's collateral damage.
Yes.
But we are really, 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 really good at precision strategic operations. We do it all over the world every fucking day. We're doing it in Africa right now. We've got guys from the community that are in private organizations doing it right now.
And I would love to have a conversation that isn't in the environment that we have today, that involves the question, how is it that we are deciding who to send against when it comes to who are we picking that needs to be targeted, and why are we the right ones? And I don't want that to be so political.
Another conversation, right? And the problem is we cannot have a real conversation about that on the podcast because a lot of that's tradecraft, and we just can't.
All right. Well,
we simply cannot get into how we choose our targets.
I get that. Even if that wasn't the case, though, I feel like any discussion goes down a path of you're on this side or this side, and I don't want that conversation. I would love to.
Eventually, you're going to be that way. You're either going to agree with why we do what we do, or you're not. And the problem is there's a large population. In my opinion, there's this There was an article written, it's called the Duplicit Morality, and I read it a decade ago. We've talked about it, I think.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that helped me cope over the last probably 5 to 6 years and get better with PTSD, duplicit morality. There's a large segment of the population that wants us to do the things that we do. They legitimately, and I will say this and I will stand by it, they legitimately fucking want boogeymen out there.
Oh, yeah.
But they don't want to talk about it. Don't ever fucking talk about it, and don't bring it up in conversation. And we never talk about it while we're home. But it almost becomes a Few Good Men-ish. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. But it's true.
Yeah.
There is, and you know it, in your heart, deep in your heart, when all of you out there listening that are on the fence about this or maybe don't agree with me at all, if you search your heart really deep down inside, you know for a fact that the world needs boogeymen.
I would want to not want that. And
you're right.
I want
it'd be great if we didn't need it.
Yeah.
But that's not human nature.
Right. And we don't have a way to get past it as humans that we are today. I truly believe that. And I am absolutely among those that want our side to have the kind of boogeymen that are on the other side. And the side doesn't mean far, far left and far, far right. 1 degree off from each other can mean we need to have someone that's representing that half a degree off.
Well, and here's the thing that most people don't understand is that people that I have to think about how to say
I love it when the gray man has to choose words, and there's a lot of reasons that go behind that. So I'm going to do the color play-by-play here. He's either trying to avoid disclosing something that's part of a non-disclosure agreement. He's dealing with a morality issue that he just doesn't care to bring up to the surface right now. He recognizes his family is listening, and he just doesn't want to bring something to surface there, or he just doesn't want to fucking talk about it, and he's got to figure out another way to bring it about. So with that in mind, we go back to the gray man for these words.
And it could be many of them all together.
All of them,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we may have to skip this one.
Yeah, let's put a pin in that one. I feel like we've really got to the subjects I feel like you wanted to bring out today.
Yeah.
We've got more to come. We definitely want to have a guest on to dive deeper into this one. And there's just so much. And recognize this, listeners, that this really is as raw as you may see our host ever. And I've seen it. I sat through many whiskeys last weekend. We made some human soup in the public jacuzzi.
We did.
We contributed. True. Yeah, not as others may have contributed, but I care not to think about that at this time. but I saw things that were concerning. Friend to friend, right? And many of you do. Anybody that has a close friend that doesn't get concerned about them from time to time, you have to ask yourself, is it really a good friend? Like, we all do that. Mike's seen it in me. He's called me out on some things, and that's where we're at. So I'm happy that we're back with season 3. Lots more to talk about. At this point, we even talked about this leading into when do we start the show, and how long are we going to talk about this? I don't know how much personal defense we're going to get into in the next number of weeks. We're going to keep going. We're going to try to get together each week and make this happen as we have in the past. We're going to do what we can to keep on top of the world events. And I feel like this is the most important subject that we'll dive into. If you're looking for anything dealing with personal defense, specifically a follow-up from previous episodes or something on your mind, reach out. We're always interested. We could do a double up. We could talk about a couple things in a show sometime. And one thing that we always do, that we've continued from the beginning, is something called Shitty Choices. And this season, we've made some changes. Once again, there are changes in Shitty Choices. You, sir, may retire the Gray Man Chalice. The Chalice may be retired because we're going a different direction. You You may use it for drinking now.
I will.
Yes, as you should. Maybe freeze the dye, and that could be your ice, huh? Maybe something.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Maybe shake for how many shots you're going to take that day.
I'm going 20. To die of alcohol poisoning.
Yeah, well, your liver had a good run, really.
I've lived a good life. It's fine.
It is absolutely true. So what we're doing this year, a little bit of new and a little bit of old. First and foremost, for the shitty choice, there's always 3 choices, and the third one has always been the worst that we like. The last season, we just made it the worst of all of them. I want to go back to the original one, because the last episode of last season, we brought it up again, that the original shitty choice was you lose the feeling in your genitals anytime your significant other was aroused. That is this season's shitty choice. I want that. Just bringing that up again. I thought, that was a lot of fun. We're going back to that one. And unless something happens this season that changes my mind, I really think that will be the last one. And now, a quick promotion for those that are listening to the Gray Man podcast. We are still also offering this free on YouTube. We put a video up each time, maybe a little bit later than the audio, but we'll put it out there. And I'm actually going to switch to the screen now to what our new shitty choices looks like this. It's actually a grid. Mike just saw this today. It's a grid
for the
that
first
has
time.
A lot of little rectangles on it. What do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times 4, 20, 21, 22, 23. You have 24 to select from. And this is as random as last season, but it's almost like a memory game. And it's going to switch each week, so don't try to remember where they're at, but they may come up again because it randomly moves them around. So at this point, now you're just going to have to give me some grid numbers. Like 2 of these will be your selections. So when you tell me what they are, we're going to flip them over and we'll see what your choices are. So
put your cursor on what you believe is your number is row number 1.
So row number 1 is here on the top. Yep.
All right, good. So left to right. Got it.
Yeah.
So I want to go row 3, number 3.
Row 3, number 3. Right here. Do we agree?
Yep.
All right. So we flip that over. Randomly every day, your brain flashes a picture of your parents having sex. Right. Could happen right now. Did it just happen?
That was terrible. That was so terrible. I need a drink. That was so terrible.
Your dad is a handsome man. I bet he's hung like a horse. Yes, he just took a drink. I did that on purpose. And there it is. I win the day. I win the day. Yes. So randomly every day, your brain flashes a picture of your parents having sex. We'll start back in the upper left-hand corner again.
All right. Row 1, number 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is it. Upper right corner is sometime in the next 10 years, you poop 10 gallons of tapioca pudding.
Oh my God.
Next year, you're walking along, minding your own business, and blam, 10 gallons of tapioca pudding will come out your butt.
First off, tapioca is the worst type of pudding.
I disagree, but I understand your feeling. Yeah, especially coming out your butt, because it's going to be ribbed for your pleasure.
Tapioca pudding. I can't even say the other one, the first one.
Or
I lose feeling in my genitalia anytime my significant other is aroused.
Yes.
You know what?
Tough choice.
I would love to just be able to yell out sometime in the next year, "Welcome to the show, motherfuckers." So I'm going with 10 gallons of tapioca pudding shooting out of my anus.
Oh, that's awesome.
Randomly.
So at some
Because I would. When it happened, I'd be like, "Welcome to the show, fuckers." And I would just let it happen.
So here's the thing about this. I'm gonna be honest, and this is another quick. What did we call it in the first season, where it was a free ride? Free ride. I listened to a radio show / podcast called Free Beer and Hot Wings. They're on a local radio station. You can pay to listen to them anytime on a podcast. They have an extra segment they do at the very end, so it's good. They also have a charity called Idiots for Underdogs, in which they every Christmas during the holiday season they are secret Santas for families in need in all of their markets. And now they've actually turned it into a full-fledged charity that you can donate to. You can select them in Amazon Smile. At any rate, so but the thing about that they do games similar to this from time to time. They do Would You Rather, and that actually theirs was like 100 gallons of ketchup. instead of, I went with 10 gallons of tapioca to make it a little bit different, but I just wanted to say free beer and hot wings. If this ever gets back to them, really appreciate everything that they've done to continue the smiles.
Shout out.
The last couple of years, especially. They're a fantastic show. Guys our age, and a couple guys and a gal that are a little bit younger than us. So they have full range of stuff. Great show to listen to as well. But so you will be pooping 10 gallons of tapioca pudding. And the thing that came up on the show was, after the first little bit comes out, because you're going to want to clean the piping.
Yeah.
After that, grab a spoon. You know what? If you're into tapioca pudding, I mean, maybe not you, because you don't like it.
No, but
you're serving the community at that point.
Yeah. Welcome to the show, baby. Let's go.
Could you
eat up?
It's going to, so at first you're going to be shocked. And then you're going to realize what's going on. You're going to do the call, and then there's nothing you can do. Just stand wherever you're at, and it's going to be like at the bottom of your pants, the top of your pants.
I'm dropping trowel and letting it fly.
Oh, is that right? You're going, yeah.
I'm going full Monty. Let's
try to write your name in tapioca pudding.
Aim it at something that can catch it. I'm just here to feed the
community. Yeah. Anybody wants some tapioca pudding? Head on over to the buffet. The Gray Man Butt Buffet. There it is. The Gray Man Butt Buffet is out. Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. The first literal shitty choice.
Yes.
Free. It has happened. All right.
That was a good one.
Everything that we've done, everything we've talked about so far, this is a brand new season, a brand new set of things that are happening in society. What's your final take as we head out for the day?
If you are out there and you have served in Iraq or Afghanistan, because I know some Iraq vets that are kind of still dealing with the same issues, even though they never served in Afghanistan. Reach out to somebody. It's okay. Doesn't mean you're weak. Reach out to me night or day. Go talk to somebody. It's a fucked up situation that we have been put in, that we have to deal with. And it's okay to be mad. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to cry. It's okay to yell into the air and shake your fists. You have a right to all of your feelings. Just go talk to somebody because nothing that is happening is your fault. You did all the right things. To my brothers and sisters out there that have spilt blood over there, you did all the right things. Just know that from the bottom of my heart.
Amen. We'll be back again to talk more about all the shit show that is Afghanistan, other world happenings, and personal defense as well. Thanks for joining us. It's the Gray Man Podcast. Find us on Facebook, YouTube, and your podcast app at The Gray Man Podcast. All rights reserved. Skunk and Gator Creations.